So I want to welcome you to the Helping Seniors Joe's Resource Center of Brevard Education Series. And our education series today is sponsored by Omni Healthcare. We're in the beautiful Omni Healthcare Tower. And it's sponsored by CarePlus. Kristine will be joining us soon. So I'm Nancy. I'm the operations director with Helping Seniors of Brevard. And Helping Seniors of Brevard is a nonprofit organization. We were founded in 2011 by Joe Steckler, who also, that name might sound familiar, also established the Brevard Alzheimer's Foundation back in the 90s. And Joe branched off from the Joe branched off from Brevard Alzheimer's Foundation to establish Helping Seniors of Brevard in 2011 because he realized it was more than just people with dementia and Alzheimer's that need help. It was all seniors. So whether you're a senior or not, all of us are either a senior, will be a senior, or know a senior that need help. And that's what we're here for. Helping Seniors of Brevard's mission is to improve the quality of seniors in Brevard County. And we are here to provide information, education, advocacy, resources, and referrals that leads to the improvement of the quality of life of seniors in Brevard. So thank you so much for attending today. We appreciate you. And again, snacks are in the back. Bathrooms are right down this hallway to your left. And we have some great speakers today that are going to educate you on what you need to know about dementia. Whether you have dementia or not, chances are those of you sitting here know someone that has dementia, whether it's a family member, a parent, a grandparent, a friend. And that is what our program is all about today. So thank you again for showing up. Now, I'd like to take a moment to turn the mic over to our executive director, Carrie Fink, who is our executive director for Helping Seniors of Brevard. So please give it up for Carrie Fink.
Thanks, Nancy. Good morning. How's everybody doing? Good. Thank you so much for being here. I hope that what you get out of today is what we're trying to do. We created this with our friends at CarePlus and with Omni Healthcare. We called it a wellness series because Joe Steckler, our president founder, has always talked about making an aging plan. And what that means is that, like, we live in Florida, so we understand a hurricane plan. It means we don't want a hurricane, but we want to know how we're going to respond and what we're going to do if something's headed our way. And as our experts who are going to come up here and share with us today can tell you, there are definitely advantages to planning things ahead and learning what's possible and what's not. And so the whole goal of this series throughout the year is going to happen on the fourth Thursday of each month. So I hope that you'll put it on your calendar and plan to come back with us. Next month, of course, is Heart Month. So everybody wants to talk about heart health and things like that. So we've got a great program for that. I think in March, we've got a whole program that's going to be dedicated to one of the biggest challenges seniors face, which is balance, falls, and challenges with that. So we're going to get some tips from Jeetal Patel, who's with Coastal Occupational Therapy. And then as we go along in April, we're doing a series about something that's really, really a big challenge called polypharmacy. You guys are probably ahead of me and you already know what that word means. I didn't know what it meant. And somebody explained this when
4 or more prescription medications.
Exactly. Like you go to one doctor and they say you should take this, and then they send you a specialist who says, oh, no, you need to take this. And oftentimes you get to the drugstore and your pharmacist sorts this out and goes, if you're taking this, you may not want to be taking that. So we're going to get some insight in that. So lots of great stuff coming this year. I hope you'll tell your friends to come join us. Helping Seniors is a nonprofit agency. We exist for no reason other than to serve seniors in Brevard. That's the only reason we're here, is to try to help us all They say it takes a village to raise a child, but I think it takes a village to do the right thing for seniors in our community. So this is just a fun fundraiser. So this is our little commercial. Give me 20 seconds and I'll tell you about our Helping Seniors Foundation cruise. This will be actually our fourth annual Helping Seniors Foundation cruise. There's a gentleman who sits on our board of directors. His name is Chris Morse. He and his wife are special needs certified travel agents. That means they enjoy helping people who think that they can't travel safely or securely and let them have a great time traveling. So what we decided to do is put together a cruise once a year that is actually a fundraiser for our organization. And nobody hassles you for money on the ship. It's not like that. It's like they get a great deal, and then MSC Cruise Lines, who's our partner in this, they donate back into the charity. And it's a great value for those who go sailing with us. It's a great help to our little charity. But the fun thing is that you get to go sailing with people from Brevard County, because if you've ever done cruising, you know you meet fun people on the ship and you get a chance to make great friends. And then they go back to Seattle and you're friends on Facebook. But here, if you go cruising with people from Brevard County, you can say, let's have lunch next Wednesday. So it's fun. And we've seen that happen. I love to tell the story. One of the cruises, we had a 93-year-old lady traveling by herself on the cruise with us. And she had a great time. But the point is, she wasn't really by herself, right? Because she had the whole group. She had her travel agent right on board who's special needs certified. Anything comes up, you got all the help. It's a great price. You can find out more. Just ask us, or you can look at helpingseniorstravelclub.com. But hope you'll consider, if you like cruising, it's a great value because he puts everything together in it. So it's like no add-ons or anything like that. He includes Wi-Fi, drink packages, prepaid gratuities. If you've ever bought cruises, you know how they love to start throwing things at you that you can spend more money, but he wants you to be able to just go and relax and enjoy it. So that's the commercial. Was that too bad? Is that okay? Okay. All right. So this, back to the serious part of what we do. This is what we talk about in the aging plan. We tried, so many people are afraid to get ahead on stuff and think about things. So we just kind of joked with Joe and said, can we call it, let's help you get your ducks in a row? Because we're trying to make it not feel stressful. Let's do the right things to get us ahead of it. And a couple of things that we've learned along the way, and I don't know why this all seems to circulate around the barnyard, but we said last year we learned something. We said, don't try this on your own. There is so much good help in Brevard County from people who are really experts in care for seniors. You don't have to go off-roading or off Googling or off whatever. You can get the help that you need from people who really know this business. I love it. There's a thing I've heard from elder law attorneys who say, like, look, for a family, once or twice in their lifetime, they're dealing with this stuff. But the reality is we're dealing with this 20, 30, 40 times a week. So what you bring to them, they know how to help you best because they're experts. And that's kind of true whether it's you're talking with somebody about the insurance side, your Medicare coverage, things like that. Doesn't matter what you're talking about. Find a local expert, because a lot of people will call an 800 number and you're talking to somebody in a call center in Iowa and they're trying to tell you what's right for Brevard County. And somebody like Denise, who does, you'll see those commercials, oh, we can help you find a place for mom or dad or whatever, but they've never set foot. They're Googling a screen just like you're Googling a screen. Denise goes to these places at Senior Care Authority. So when she sits down with a family, she's not just speaking from a Google screen, she's speaking from what she knows. That's why this is so important. So the other corollary for this year, which we said is now kind of like our sub-theme, is don't be an ostrich. Everybody knows the point is, you know, ostriches like to put off and hope the problem goes away. The problem with aging is it's not going to go away, right? As much as we would like for it to. So let's just be prepared. I know it was like an old scouting motto, be prepared. That's what we hope to do today. So with that kind of in mind, this is what today's about. Start smart. There's three things that are going to happen. We're going to have a presentation from Kristine Quattrone with CarePlus, and it's going to be called Making a Healthy Change. Because I don't know about you, but we always make New Year's resolutions, right? We're going to do this better next year. We're going to, you know, this is the year I'm going to lose that weight, or whatever we say. And so with Making a Healthy Change, this is to help you remind yourself about those things and how to do that. So then what I'm really excited about is when we get to hear from Deidra Shubert with MIM Research. Am I saying that right? So I said, okay, so I was close, right? So, and as you know, she has a tremendous background of director of outreach and such for Brevard Alzheimer's, and is kind of an expert in this. I learn something every time I hear her talk. And the really cool part is going to be the Dementia Live experience, which you guys brought to us when we were at the Brevard Commission on Aging. And it was fascinating because a lot of times we think when we're dealing with a dementia patient or talking to somebody that has a cognitive challenge, oh, if we just yell louder, they're going to get it, and it doesn't work. It doesn't work. And this is a way for you to get inside and have some level of understanding of what the challenge these people on a dementia journey are facing. So with that, I think we take a short break and then Kristine comes up. Is that what happens next? I'm done yakking anyway. Thanks, Nancy.
Sorry, folks, no break. Oh, applause for you, Carrie. No break. Folks, we need to get on with our program. Before I get to our next speaker, I want to echo what Carrie is saying. These senior education series are important. And the reason they're important is you might not need this service or the services we're talking about right now, but you might need it in 6 months, a year, 2 years. So our goal is to plant a seed in the memory of the public to know, oh, who do we call? If you don't know who to call, that's what Helping Seniors of Brevard is all about. That's me. I'm your senior care navigator. Please feel free, and I have information at the back table. If everybody will turn their head, there's a turtle picture. That's one of our door prizes. And by the way, we'll be drawing door prizes at the end of the program. So Helping Seniors of Brevard, we provide information, education, advocacy, resources, and referrals to seniors and those who love seniors. A lot of the calls that we get on our senior information line are from children or grandchildren saying, I live in New York, but my mom lives in Brevard. I don't know what to do about this, that, or the other thing. There is no obligation. We don't push any company on you. We provide you resources in our network that we have vetted that have the senior's interest in mind. So when you call us and we give you a referral, you can be sure that the referral we give you is a trusted senior resource. Some of them give senior discounts, some of them don't. But the point is, you get a senior resource that won't rip you off, that will show up, whose pricing is fair, and we serve everyone from the wealthy to the poor. So keep that in mind. So thank you for being here, because education is actually I always believe in knowledge is power. And education is knowledge, and knowledge is power. So whether you're seeking out information in the immediate or the future, this is a seed we're trying to plant. So the first speaker I want to introduce to you is Deidra Shubert. I won't even begin to tell you the credentials behind her name. Deidra is the Education and Outreach Director at Merritt Medical Research. She has 10 years of clinical experience as a board-certified behavior analyst, specializing in behavioral gerontology. Her focus is bringing education and training to the general population, direct care workers, and family caregivers to improve the quality of life for those living in dementia. I can't say more positive things about Deidra, and I'm so proud to introduce Deidra to you, to our senior education series. Deidra, come on up.
Thank you, Nancy. And thank you, Carrie, and thank you to everybody for being here today. So I am Deidra Shubert, as the great introduction was. Do I have slides? I do? Okay. So I've got quite a bit of information to give you and not a lot of time. So bear with me as I get through it. I will be available after for any kind of questions, okay? And I'm gonna, yes, sorry, right here. Okay. I'm gonna also set a timer because I like to talk and I wanna stay cognizant of everybody's time. So we're gonna talk about advancements in memory care, specifically dementia research. If you've been watching the news, you know it's an exciting time for Alzheimer's treatments. So as Nancy said, I have a whole bunch of credentials after my name. That just means I like to do schooling and learn about dementia care. So that's what all those are. Okay, so I'm just going to briefly go over, well, what is dementia? We hear it used all the time interchangeably with Alzheimer's disease. Today I'm going to be focusing on Alzheimer's disease because it is the most common cause of dementia. And that is where a lot of the FDA-approved medications are, is looking at Alzheimer's disease. So dementia, as you can see, is just the umbrella. For any kind of condition that can affect your cognitive abilities, severe enough to impact your daily life. So there's over 90 different causes or conditions that can affect your cognitive ability that's severe enough to impact your daily life. So it's a great visual. Dementia, the umbrella, kind of like the senior resource center here is the umbrella organization, and then underneath it, you have all these other agencies. So underneath the dementia umbrella, you have all these different causes. Alzheimer's, the most common cause of dementia. Makes up about 2/3 of all cases, or like 50 to 60%. So that's what we're focusing on today. So this is a great little timeline here of all the FDA-approved medications or therapies for Alzheimer's disease. So Alzheimer's disease was first recognized in 1906 by Dr. Alzheimer. And this lady here was kind of his very first patient where he started noticing, oh, she's having cognitive changes. This is very interesting. So 1906. It's quite a while ago, but still not that long ago. So it wasn't until 1996 that we released our first type of therapy for Alzheimer's disease. So there's basically two different categories of Alzheimer's FDA-approved treatments or therapies. So you have drugs that temporarily ease the symptoms of Alzheimer's. So the symptoms being cognitive impairment, so not remembering things and all the different components of cognition. So this slide here is basically the first type. The second type, which I'll talk about, are actually modifying the disease process to slow the progression. So these are what we call symptomatic therapies. So the ones in the yellow box, or the 1996 to 2001, these are called cholinesterase inhibitors. So if you've gone to the doctor, you're having memory complaints, these are kind of the first medications that they prescribe. So cholinesterase inhibitors are basically preventing the breakdown of a neurotransmitter called acetylcholine. So a neurotransmitter or a chemical messenger. And this has to do with memory and learning. So it's going to help boost that neurotransmitters in your brain to help with your memory, the symptoms of Alzheimer's disease. So it's a memory booster, it's a symptomatic therapy. So doctors usually prescribe those in the earliest stages. And then the other ones, the memantine, or also called Namenda, and then the Namzaric, which is actually a cholinesterase inhibitor with a glutamate modulator or a regulator. So Namenda works differently than the ones in the yellow. Okay, so doctors will usually prescribe the ones in the yellow first, and then they'll prescribe the secondary one. And then people are usually on both of those medications because they work differently. The glutamate regulators, which is seen in the Namenda, it's glutamate is what it's working on, which is another neurotransmitter. So again, symptomatic therapies that are FDA approved, and doctors are usually their first line of defense. But if you have a truly progressive disease like Alzheimer's, and the disease process is still occurring in your brain, how long are these going to work? It's kind of like putting a Band-Aid on a bleeding wound, right? So it's going to keep progressing. It's going to keep getting worse. but these can very much help in the earliest stages. So if you've been watching the news, this is the exciting stuff. So going back real quick, so between 1996 and 2014, we finally released these medications. We've figured out what is happening with Alzheimer's disease. We've had better technology to diagnose it. So fast forward 2014 to 2021, we finally have a disease-modifying medication. So this is that secondary category of therapies. These are actually changing the progression of the disease, what we call disease modifying, okay? So in 2021, if you've watched the news, aducanumab was FDA approved, and there was so much controversy about it because of the way it was approved. Basically, long story short, they fast-tracked it, the FDA fast-tracked it, after the company stopped the research and said, well, it doesn't look like it's working, so they stopped it. Well, then after they got all their data in, they're like, oh, wow, it actually did show us some improvement. So then they went back for FDA approval. And people are like, wait, didn't you say it didn't work? Now you're saying it works? And this was during COVID time, so nobody knew what anything was going on, right? So there was a lot of controversy about aducanumab. But it is the first disease-modifying treatment for Alzheimer's disease. So this is actually removing the amyloid plaque from the brain. So that's what this is, sorry. So you can see here, this is a PET scan, and you can see in the baseline, which is furthest that way, all the red, that's the amyloid plaque. On this side, you can see as the dosage went up, the amyloid plaque decreased and was pretty much gone. So that's incredible. This drug is every 4 weeks for 45 to 60 minutes. It did get accelerated FDA approval. If you look here, I think it's important to note phase 1, so that's when it's first introduced to humans in research, was in 2010. It wasn't until 2021 that it was FDA approved out for people's use. 11 years of clinical trials to get one drug FDA approved. Okay, so keep that in mind. So this, as of this past summer, thanks to a lot of advocacy work with the Alzheimer's Association, Medicare, Medicaid are going to cover it. It was $56,000 when it first came out, a year. That's a lot, right? So yes, CMS is going to cover it. So this one came out 2 years later. So this came out last year, in the beginning of last year. No controversy. The sponsor or the pharmaceutical company had very clean data. They went through and all the mistakes the first drug made, cleaned it up. So this is lecanemab or Leqembi. So anytime you see the word mab, that means they're monoclonal antibodies. So it's essentially using your body's own immune system to target what it wants to target and removes it. Okay, you probably heard monoclonal antibodies a lot during COVID, so it's a known therapy. So this one is every 2 weeks instead of once a month. You get an IV infusion. It's, again, a monoclonal antibody. Again, phase 1, 2010, it took 13 years for it to get FDA approved. So 13 years of research in humans. So this is probably about 1,500 to 2,000 research subjects that went through this to get it FDA approved. 13 years is a long time for one drug to get FDA approved. This drug shows a lot better results than the first one I just showed you, right? Every first drug that comes out, not the best. We learn from our mistakes, we make it better and better. So this one here is, I think it was $26,000 a year. Same thing, CMS is gonna cover it. So great news. Doctors probably aren't readily prescribing this yet because there's a lot of kinks to work out. You have to have a PET scan to get these medications because you have to have the amyloid on the brain for us to remove it. If you don't have the amyloid, we're not going to give you a medication to remove it, right? This one here, donanemab, this is not out yet, but it is coming out this year. So this is, again, another monoclonal antibody. It's every 4 weeks of an infusion. This one is showing even better results than the first two. This one's working a lot faster. So within 6 months, they saw amyloid clearance basically way faster than the first two drugs. So it says there, no clinical progression at 1 year after removing the plaque in 47% of people. The risk of progression to the next phase of dementia reduced by 40%. So these medications are slowing the progression of Alzheimer's disease. People are like, well, why would you want to slow the progression of a horrible disease? Well, because these are all FDA approved in the mild, earliest stages. When people just may not have a great short-term memory, maybe they're not driving, maybe they are, but they're still functioning independently. They're still cooking, cleaning, caring for themselves, toileting themselves. So we want to keep them in that stage longer. That is a high quality of life. That is what these drugs are for. Okay, so just because everyone's like, well, great, 3 new drugs, how are they different? They all target the amyloid plaque differently. That's just like blood pressure medication or cholesterol medication. It may work great for you, it may not work great for you. Our bodies are all different, right? So that's how these drugs work differently. They're just slightly different. They're still monoclonal antibodies, but they work differently because everybody is different and we need to have multiple options, right? So in clinical research, this is what I do. So we actively do the research needed to be done. Remember, 13 years to get one drug FDA approved. That's what we do. But these are all the different unique therapies that are currently being studied. Mark my words, the cure for Alzheimer's disease is going to be a cocktail. It's going to be multiple modalities. It's going to be the plaque, the tangles. We're looking at neuroinflammation. We're looking at vascular stress. We're looking at the gut biome. So it's probably going to be a multiple therapy approach because it's such a complex disease. So these are things that we're studying in research now. This is an example of some of those studies that we have. So if anybody is interested in clinical research, the reason it takes 13 years for one medication to get approved is because it's all volunteer-based. We need volunteers to do the research. Basically, you take 1,000 people that are interested, and then you narrow it down, okay? You're a good fit. You meet this criteria of age. You meet this criteria of memory score. Now we've got 200 people that are a good fit. And then maybe 100, maybe 25 actually make it into a study because they want a very specific kind of a perfect subject. So that's why it takes 10 years for one medication to get FDA approved, which is not acceptable, right? People's lives are depending on these medications because they don't want their Alzheimer's disease to progress. And somebody that has Alzheimer's, 10 years, there's a lot of progression from mild, moderate to late in that 10 years. So these medications need to be put out sooner. If you're interested in getting involved in any of these, please, like I said, I'll be doing the Dementia Live experience. I can answer any questions. I have a study list like this. Basically, you would just give us a call. We can go over your options. We do a free memory screening to kind of give you an idea of where you're at. You can see some of these. The MMSE is 27 out of 30, 22 out of 30. This bottom study, 18 out of 30 points. So that's a little bit more moderate Alzheimer's. So that's incredible. We have everything from prevention, so people that have no memory complaints or maybe very, very mild, all the way to more moderate study. So there's more options than ever for Alzheimer's research. Okay, I think that's it. I set my timer and I finished before.
Deidra, you're awesome. Give it up for Deidra. So I have to tell you, there's dementia in my family. And I have been hesitant about getting tested because there's part of me that just doesn't want to know. But after hearing Deidra, I think I do want to know because the advances in Alzheimer's and dementia care are so advanced to where we were. I spent 33 years as a registered nurse, and there was no help before. But from what you tell me, I think I'm going to come see you Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I have it in my family. Excuse me. And I know it's scary. Years ago, when my father came down with, sorry, dementia, I shouldn't say came down with, it's not like a flu. And my sister, who was 18 years my senior, um, I've been hesitant to get a diagnosis because I chose to stay in the dark. But Deidra, I think I'm going to follow up with you and see what's in it for me, because if there's new advances in medication that slows the progression, why not? Why not?
We have a prevention study coming in April by Johnson and Johnson. So a big name. Janssen is actually what it's under. It's a prevention study, meaning you have the biomarkers and no cognitive decline, because we can do blood test imaging that shows you have the amyloid or the tau tangles already on your brain before you have that decline. So if you have it, well, let's remove it, and then you never get to the progression, or will slow the onset or slow the progression. So prevention studies, especially if you have a family history, now that there are advancements, let's do something about them.
Well, and Deidra, I just want to say this testing that you do is private, correct? Private and confidential. So you can do it, and free, private and confidential. So Deidra will be available after our program, as will all the tables of our wonderful senior center sponsors. So I encourage you to stick around at the end of the program and visit each table to get the information that you need, which you might not need now, but you might need in 6 months, a year, 2 years. Education is knowledge, knowledge is power. I always say that. All right, so I'm going to introduce next Sandy Stauffer. She is the program manager for Health First Memory Disorder Clinic. She brings with her the experience of supporting patients and their caregivers through patient advocacy, and as a master's trained facilitator for a variety of evidence-based classes specific to dementia and caregiver needs. I've been a caregiver for those with dementia and Alzheimer's, and I can tell you there's no harder job in the world that you will experience than being a caregiver for a senior person, whether it's mom, dad, grandma, aunt, uncle with dementia. Sandy completed her undergraduate studies at Rollins College with a bachelor's degree in psychology, and then went on to Webster University, where she received a master's degree in counseling. And she is a certified dementia care trainer for the state of Florida. Before I bring her up here, I want to let you know we're going to have a dementia live session. So if it runs over the program, which is 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m., for those of you who want to experience dementia live, they will simulate what it's like to have dementia, to have decreased vision, decreased hearing, decreased feeling, decreased sensory input to your brain. I encourage you to stick around. But without further ado, I would like to introduce Sandy Stauffer.
Hi, I'm Sandy Stauffer. I run the Memory Disorder Clinic in town, and we're one of 17 state-funded memory disorder clinics. A part of what we do at the Memory Disorder Clinic is three-pronged. We're funded by a grant through the Alzheimer's Disease Initiative, and with that, they want us to go out into the community and do education, raise awareness of dementia, provide support for caregivers of individuals living with dementia, and also do research. So we do that research and testing also in our clinic to determine whether a person has their normal cognitive, if they have a mild cognitive impairment, or if they have a dementia. We do that with Florida Institute of Technology. They're doctoral students that are going to become neuropsychologists. They actually perform that testing and do research within our clinic. In addition, we, in collaboration with many of our community members, which are here and also partners in bringing forth the Dementia Live experience, we want to create a dementia-friendly community. And we have what we call the DCCI, which is the Dementia Care and Cure Initiative. And it's a state task force that we partner with our community partners to come in and help us to get outreach into the community for education. Barb is here, Barb Fratkin. She's one of our members of our task force, and she actually leads up the Brevard Parkinson's Alliance. So, and she's a longstanding social worker. So we draw on those in the community that are already serving our population and have that experience to collaborate with them. I would like to also introduce Rebecca Osgood. She is a new community educator for us, but she's been in the community a long time. She's worked at Joe's Club, which you may or may not be familiar with. And Deidra, which was up here earlier, she's also one of our task force members. And I got here late today. My apologies. I was running from another meeting. I'm not sure if Deidra spoke yet. You did speak? Okay. And so you understand and see the knowledge that she brings with that. So we, in a part of our community education and providing to support you all, we do free memory screenings. So a memory screening is not diagnostic. It gives you a baseline of, are you in the norm range of what you should be for your age and education? And that is something we bring forth to anybody in the community that's 18 years of age or older. And a lot of times people will say to me, well, why would a younger person want to get a memory screening? Well, if you've fallen, hit in your head, played sports, had concussions, or may have dementia that runs in the family, people want to see where they stand with that and get that baseline. So as you go along in years and you decide, let me get another memory screening, you can see if there's changes going on there. And that's really important with early detection. I'm sure Deidra spoke to the research that they have going on there, and it's really prevalent. There's a lot of going on with research. So if you have some changes going on early on, there might be research that you can get in and be a part of. And we want to stabilize you as much as that we can. You may have MCI, doesn't mean that will progress into a dementia. Some do, some don't. And if you can get under care and stabilize things so it's not progressing, we would all want to do that. Just like with any other chronic disease, whether it's diabetes, COPD, you want to maintain and keep them at the best level that you can. And we want to do that with your brain health too. A lot of times people think that there's not a lot we can do with our brain health, but there is a lot through lifestyle changes and management of it and awareness. So I really want to bring that forth to you all about, don't think that there's not things that you can't do with your brain health. You can. The resources are in the community, and we want to be here for you with that. So thank you.
Sandy, thank you so much. We appreciate you. That was short and sweet. But sometimes that's what drives things home. So, hey folks, I just want to let you know that our center sponsors are situated around you with tables. Now, understand they're not here to just sell you something. They're here to educate you on what is available in the county for help for you or your parents or grandparents. Helping Seniors of Brevard often gets calls from people that are not seniors, but are grandchildren or children of seniors. So, at the end of our program, please take time to go around to the different tables to learn what services are available to your loved ones, whether it applies to you or a loved one. Please, everybody, it's time to fill up on the wonderful snacks we have on the back bar. We have juice. We also have a hot chocolate station. So help yourself. It looks like everybody is kind of settled. So the next speaker, I want to tell you, Helping Seniors of Brevard is a nonprofit organization. We're very poor. We survive on very little donations, and then we take those donations and we turn that into whatever we can do for the senior citizens of Brevard. And on occasion, we get sponsors that are willing to help us financially to continue our mission to help seniors of Brevard. And one of those sponsors, which is today's sponsor, Omni Healthcare. Can I get a hey? Omni Healthcare and CarePlus. And on behalf of CarePlus, I'd like to introduce to you, my name's Nancy. I can't think of a better name, so I'm going to introduce to you Nancy from CarePlus, who's going to tell you about CarePlus. But we also thank you so much for your support over the years that helps us continue our mission of helping seniors in Brevard.
Thanks, Nancy. Great name. Hi, folks. Yes, CarePlus Health Plans, Medicare plans. I've worked with them for 3 years now. And I work really closely with some of my members need some extra help. And I have found that CarePlus does meet all the expectations that I wanted from a healthcare plan. And I really see that with some of my seniors and some of the procedures, things that they've gone through. So excellent, excellent healthcare. Let's talk today, because we're still in January, about making a healthy change. So hands up who made some New Year's resolutions just a little bit ago. Anybody? I didn't even bother this year because I know it is hard to make a healthy change. So I'm really glad I'm doing this because I need to make some healthy changes. I've done it before. I did really well actually losing weight with Weight Watchers and, counting calories, and it really kept me on track. Yeah, but then COVID happened and, it all fell apart. My 25 pounds just bounced back on, and that's worse than never losing the weight in the first place. So here I am again. I don't really want to go on a diet, but I know I've got to make some changes. So I need a little help. So CarePlus has put this together, and let's see. And I'm here today actually with Kristine. We'll meet her in a minute. Going the wrong way. That's a good start. Okay, perfect. Okay, so of course my spiel does not replace professional advice. Always talk to a doctor before making major changes, okay? Let's see. So the steps for making a healthy change. Of course it can be challenging, but the first step is, what do you want to change, and why do you want to change? So identify. What do you want to change and why? All right, and then number 2, you're going to assess your readiness to make a change. Are you ready? Like some of my members, cardiologists, vascularists said, hey, you got to quit. It's going to kill you, and it's going to kill you fast. So they've got to quit. So we talked about setting up a program, and their first step was set a date because they're not ready yet. They're not ready January 1st. Terrible date to start anything. So that's the date. Are you ready? Or if you're not ready now, when do you think you will be? 6 months? A month? Okay, and then create some SMART goals. That's an acronym. We'll go into that in a little bit. And form some new habits. Okay, because you might be used to, like me, if I'm in the house in the afternoon, that's a bad time for me. The fridge is right there. I'm working on my computer. Oh, I'll just have early lunch, or okay, now I'm ready for my snack or my tea or whatever. So I got to create some new habits. How about an afternoon walk or something? Just run around the block. Then 4, make the change work for you. That's an interesting one. Okay, so step 1, identify a healthy change you want to make and why. Do you want to be stronger in your body? Not necessarily lose weight, but, maybe add some strength. That's good for your bones. Maybe you're going to incorporate some weightlifting or whatever change it is. Okay, so what would you like to change? And is there a specific health outcome you'd like to achieve? And in your mind, picture, what do you want to achieve? And then, okay, obviously it's got to be something you do have the power to change and something that's important to you. Okay, what's really big here is your why. Why do you want to do it? When I lost that 25 pounds, I was actually working at a call center for Weight Watchers, and so it was kind of easy. And I was talking to a lot of people, and they were having all these health problems. And I just had a new grandbaby, and I could tell that I was starting to have some health problems, getting short of breath and things like that. And that was my why that motivated me, because I wanted to be around. I didn't want to go decline with my health like some of the people that I was speaking to. Because there were some really very sad stories. So that was my why, because I want to be around as long as I can. I want to be healthy. I want to be strong. So the motivation, how are you going to benefit from making these changes? How is it going to benefit you? What would you gain from making this change? So if I do the weightlifting, I'm gonna feel stronger in my body. My bones are gonna be stronger, and so things like that. So, are there any pros and cons to making the change? What's the pros if I do this, and what's the cons if I don't do this? And that's really a clincher. If I don't do this, how am I gonna feel next year when I didn't do this? Or how am I gonna feel in 5 years' time if I never do this thing that I really want to do? And, I know it's best for me, or it could be anything, whatever your change is. So assessing your readiness to change. Okay, so pre-contemplation, you're like, I'm thinking about it. Whatever it is, you're thinking about it, pre-contemplation, and then you get contemplation. Okay, now you're getting a bit more serious. You're thinking about changing, still haven't made a commitment. Then a person knows they need to change. Okay, so I'm going to make my plan. That's the next step. So you're just kind of thinking about it, and then you're getting more serious and really thinking about it. And then you're getting really serious and going, okay, what's my plan? How am I going to achieve this? And then what's next? So you've done the prep, you got the plan, what's next? Action, exactly, do it. All right, and then what's next? Maintenance. That's where I kind of failed. Hate that word, but to maintain it. And that's part of the plan too. Because I lost the weight. I felt good. I went from a 16 to an 8. I felt great. But I wasn't prepared to maintain it through stressful situations, and such as COVID and things like that. Well, no one knew that was happening, but just everyday stress. I'm a stress eater, so that's my thing. So this time around, I got to have a plan for that. So, all right. Step 3, create SMART goals and 4 new habits. SMART, it's an acronym. Specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, time-bound. So specific, keep your goals simply written, but clearly defined. Measurable, you got to measure your progress. So start out, put tape measure if it's weight, maybe it's smoking. Somehow measure your progress and success and reward yourself. Make sure this goal is challenging but still realistic. So maybe I don't want to lose all that weight, or maybe I'm going to cut back on something else, or maybe I'm not going to run that 20-mile marathon right away. I'm going to set goals that are attainable and achievable. Okay, relevant. It should be important to you and fit your lifestyle. Time-bound. Your goal should have a clear start, end, and finish. So I'm going to start here, this date, and I'm going to finish this date. All right. And real quick, we're going to replace some bad habits with good ones. Okay. So my first thing, habits happen in a loop. First thing is a cue that tells your brain to go into automatic mode and let the behavior unfold. Lighting up the cigarette, going to the fridge, getting the snack, getting the ice cream out the freezer. Routine, this is the behavior itself. It may be physical, mental, or emotional, and reward. This helps the brain figure out if the loop is worth remembering. Okay, cue, routine, and reward. So the bad habit with the good one, you have to interrupt this loop by getting rid of your triggers or coming up with a new routine to engage in each time you encounter the trigger. So like I tell my guys, okay, so you're going to want to maybe not have that drink, because when you have that drink, you want the cigarette, or when you have your morning coffee, you want to. Going to have to replace that with something else, or, keep your hands busy or something. Step 4, make the change work for you. Okay, so making a healthy change is rarely easy. Lifestyle changes are really, really hard. But the rewards are very big. The reward of good health and having a plan in place is going to help you. Here's some tips. First of all, start small. Break down those goals. Break them down into manageable daily, weekly, and monthly goals. And then identify roadblocks. Okay, think of possible solutions. You know yourself. For me, my trigger might be my stepson, a call from my stepson. Okay, so maybe I got to have a plan in place for that. We all have our things that might, that always makes me a little nervous. We got some issues going on there, but everybody's got their own. That's a roadblock for me. How am I going to handle things that kind of make me nervous and want to eat a cookie? So that's me. Think of possible solutions for expected obstacles. Find a partner if you can, someone who wants the same goals as you. You can work on it together. You can call them when you're having a weak moment or something, or you want motivation. And give yourself a prize every time you reach a new milestone. So maybe that's going to be, whatever you like, a treat, even if it's just take a nice bath or take half an hour for yourself and go shopping or something. So anyway. Let's see. Keep it simple but inspiring. This is a destination postcard. You keep it simple but inspiring. It shows you where you are headed and the importance of the journey, your why. It's up to you on how you want it to look, this postcard. This is just a fun activity. You can get an index card or Post-it note to draw a picture of some motivating words and put it where you can see it every morning. Just to remind you. And that's the key, just to remind you to keep going when you're kind of having a little bit of a struggle. Thank you for attending our class. And now I will hand you over to CarePlus one and only Kristine Quattrone.
Thank you so much, Nancy. That was awesome. Thank you so much. That was really good. I'm Kristine. I'm with CarePlus, and I'm just gonna. I love working for CarePlus. It's a great Medicare Advantage plan, and I also represent Humana. So if anybody has any questions about CarePlus or Humana, please feel free to let me know. CarePlus has a lot of amazing Medicare Advantage plans. We have plans where you have a give back of your Part B. So instead of paying your full Part B, we actually will give back a good majority of that money right back into your Social Security check. And then we also, that plan also has free over-the-counter products, and it comes with dental, vision, hearing, and prescription coverage. So everything that you need in one plan, plus there's no deductible, there's no plan premium, and it's $0 to see your primary doctor. So if you'd like any information about CarePlus or Humana, please feel free to come see me. We have a lot of doctors and specialists in network, so you're definitely covered if you're in Brevard County, and we're also all over Florida. And Okay, enjoy the rest of your day here and the rest of the day. Thank you.
Thank you, Christina. So Christina, along with our other vendors, will be available at the conclusion of our program if you want to find out anything more. So we're going to have a Dementia Live experience. Do you guys know what that is? We're going to simulate what it might be like to lack your senses in sight, vision, and touch. Of course, we can never completely duplicate what it's like to have dementia, but we're going to have a Dementia Live at the end of the program. And I'd like to finally, before the Dementia Live event, invite our executive director. This would all not be possible without our president and founder, Joe Steckler, who is 90 years old. And he kind of passed the baton to, no, he didn't kind of, he did pass the baton to our executive director, Carrie Fink. So I'd like to turn this over to Carrie Fink, our executive director, for closing words. And please stick around for Dementia Live. Carrie?
Thank you, Nancy. You guys, are you guys having a good morning? This is helpful? I really think this is so important, and I understand that I'm one of the people who gets to play Dementia Live. So, you know, they told me this when they set this up. They do it two ways. They want some people, so if you just want to watch, you can see what we're about to go through. But for many people, this isn't like a game. This is what they deal with every day. So that's why this is important. But they also are setting up that if you would like to try this and you don't want the audience, they're willing to help make that possible. So thank you for being here. Tell me what I'm supposed to do next. And we'll see you next month for Thursday, Heart Smart.
Thank you, Carrie. So the 3 individuals that are going through the Dementia Live experience, if you could please come up here right now.
I'm going to steal the microphone and the spotlight one more time because I want to introduce to you one of our sponsors who's also my partner in crime that answers the senior information line. So she is a senior care navigator. Karen, come on over here. Sorry to interrupt our program, but I couldn't ask for a better partner. So one of the things that Helping Seniors of Brevard does is we answer a senior information line Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. And this lady helps me do that. So when people call, this lady, along with me, lead you to the resources that you might need. And she's also the owner and president of Emerald Care Management. So keep her in mind if you have any seniors that need to organize their bills, that need to clean out their house, not a hoarder situation, but a senior that might be like, I don't know when to pay my bills, that kind of thing. This is what Karen specializes in addition to helping me answer the senior information line. So Karen, thank you so much. Do you want to say a few words?
So those that I care for, I try to keep people on the step just before you go to assisted living. Your children live in Ohio. They're worried about you. They want somebody to check on mom and dad or dad alone. And I'm there to just go, you know what? They really need their hearing aids checked upon. They're not doing their phone. Let's start plug it in your phone every night right after supper. So get them in a habit, and they can still live by themselves. They still cook for themselves. They still do their laundry. They still drive their car. It's just slight forgetfulness. So that's where I can step in and leave them a little bit more time in their own homes.
She's kind of like hiring a daughter. All right, there you go, Sandy. It's all yours.
Thank you very much. Hey, everybody. This is Sandy. We're going to get going with the Dementia Live experience. If I can get your attention, please. And the 3 individuals that are going through the experience, if you can please come to the front of the room. So first of all, I want to thank you 3 for going through the experience and doing this in front of others to observe. If I could ask you to come down here to the end of the table with Barb and Deidra and Rebecca. All right, so A part of the Dementia Live experience is a sensory experience to immerse you into the world of what it might be like to have a dementia. So we do that through impairing your senses. To begin with, we're going to do that with having our participants to please put on these gloves, and these are strictly just for sanitary purposes. So if you'll put those on. And I'm not sure where Rebecca went to, but if she could please come up here now. We have tape and we're good to go. So the next thing, and by the way, this is all evidence-based. University of Texas came up with this program. There's another similar program called the Virtual Dementia Tour. So there's these two programs that are out in the community for this. Next, you see that they're putting on these other gloves. A part of what we're doing with this experience is to impair your fine motor skills and dexterity. And a part of what we're doing with that is putting the gloves on. Additionally, you're going to see that we're going to be taping up some of their fingers. And on your dominant hand, which is the hand you write with, we are taping 2 of those fingers up. So in addition to having like your fine motor skills diminished, a lot of times when we're aging out or getting older, or we don't just have dementia, we have other things going on with our body. If you're diabetic, you may have neuropathy, you may have arthritis. So we're mimicking those things also with doing the taping of the hands. And then on the other hand, yes, we're doing both hands in different areas. We'll just give a second to do that. We do the Dementia Live experience. We go into the community. We go into nursing schools. We go into businesses. We go anywhere in the community, because the greater awareness you have of dementia and how it also impacts those moving around you, we create a dementia-friendly environment for those living with it. The next thing that we're doing is we're putting on these glasses or goggles. And it's going to impair their vision, but we'll talk more about that when we debrief on this. And I'm sure they're already feeling the impacts of having those on. So can you tell me what you are experienced with having the goggle on?
It's very limiting. My vision is a little bit blurry and it's very narrowed in. It's like it's immediate. It's right in front of me.
Very good. So you can't see along the sides. Your peripheral vision's diminished. All right. And finally, the third thing that we're going to do is put these headphones on them. It has a lot of background noises and things going on. Yeah. So, in fact, our folks that are going to give them a list of tasks to do. Those tasks we will not repeat nor clarify. So we hope that they can hear everything, but if they can't, that's okay. And the big thing I want to tell you guys is that as you're going through this experience, we want you to focus on how you're feeling, okay? How you are feeling. Oh, and we're improvising here, okay. So you need to get it over its ears, though. Yeah, and they slide down, too. All right. Okay, so now they're putting that on, and they're going to begin to tell them tasks to do. I hear it, right? All right. It's going to be difficult for them to hear, and they probably can't hear me right now very well either. The tasks that they're giving these folks to do are all tasks that we would do in our daily living. Okay? So and I'm going to pause for a moment while she's talking too.
Yeah, she's lost in space.
You will see right away when people are geared up, the difference in them. We want it to be difficult and have interference. If you think about it, a person with dementia can't process information, right? So that's why we're impairing the hearing and making it hard to listen to. Yes. So we want it to be challenging. Look and make observations of their behaviors, of what they're doing. You've seen these guys for the last 2 hours, how they've been functioning. You see a difference right now already? We've asked to set tables. You'll see a variety of things that.
May I say I think the women will fare better in this task?
No, not really. Not when they're in it usually. They all don't get the same tasks to do, by the way. They all get different tasks. So they are observing their participant that they gave the task to observe what kind of behaviors are going on. So she's cueing her on a task to do. There is money in a couple spots. Mhm. Well, Carrie's being really creative over there. So it almost is very interesting how he's arranging that silverware, plasticware over there. He doesn't have the task of setting a table, by the way. So it's interesting.
What's his task?
He may have been given the task of putting the plasticware into where you hold, where it's all. Yeah. Yeah, he's not supposed to be setting a table. He may have heard somebody else's. Yeah. So, things that you do daily, you take pills, right? You set a table, you clean up trash, you have to make change, right? We still do that. We have to give money back when we buy things. No, we have a whole bunch of, well, we to fold some towels or pair up some socks. But when you go to your laundry basket, it's a whole bunch of stuff in there. So you got to pull out what you're supposed to be taking care of.
Denise got it going on with the folding. Harry better not lose his way.
Yeah, he's at a disadvantage today, right now. I'll be curious once.
My boss, everybody, right there.
So when we call time on it, we'll talk to you a little bit about some of the tasks they actually were supposed to be doing. right, so we're calling time, so they're gonna let them know to stop. And they're gonna take the headphones off them and also the other gear. We're gonna give one moment just for them to get the gear off before we talk to them a little bit about how they felt about that. I hear something beeping in the background. Very annoying. Okay, so Rebecca, do you want to list off some of the tasks that folks were supposed to do?
Just in general. All right, so a couple of the tasks that we had: untie the shoes, fold 4 pillowcases, write your name and address on the notepad, set the table for 4, take Tuesday's noon pill and put it on the counter, sweep up the debris and put it in the trash can, address an envelope to yourself. So a lot of these things, you know, you do on a daily basis, and not necessarily in succession all at 5 times at once. But this kind of helps people understand, those living with their loved ones that have cognitive impairment, if they're not behaving or doing the tasks that you've asked them to do, even if they're simple, it may not be simple to them. So I kind of wanted to ask, you know, what were your guys' experiences or thoughts, your thoughts and feelings as you were going through it?
I found it extremely overwhelming because coming from the earphones, I had a sportscaster in one ear just chattering away, and in the other ear, it was news. So I automatically couldn't focus. Like right there, I just couldn't focus because I'm the type that when there's a lot going on, I need to go into another room. If I have work to do and there's a lot of sounds, I have to either close the door or go. That's just how I operate. That alone, aside from even the glasses, because with the glasses, it was all blacked out and you only had a little circle opening by your eyes. So you had no peripheral. So that's just scary, you know. And so I thought, oh my gosh, you know. And then when Deidra started listing the tasks, I was already so overwhelmed. I could only remember the first 2. And then my palms started to sweat. So that's it. And it was really hard.
So when you talked about the background noises and when you work, you want to close the door to filter out background noises and sound. A person with dementia loses that ability to filter out all those other sounds. So if you are having conversations with a person with dementia, turn that TV off in the background, lower those things down, give them the best opportunity they can have to take that information in.
The other thing that we did when we gave out the tasks is we stood next to them. So they could not see our mouth. They couldn't read our lips. And all I kept hearing was, I can't hear you. I can't hear you. So think about when you're talking to a person with dementia and you're like behind them and saying, you know, Denise, you know, come on, let's go. I need to go. She can't hear me. She can't focus because she doesn't even know who I'm talking to. So that's why it's important to face, let them see you speak, let them read your lips, so they can understand a little better. And and the startle reflex. We all have it. I mean, how many of you have been sitting quietly at your desk and someone comes up and says, hi, and you jump, okay? A person with dementia startles very easily. So if you're coming from behind, you want to just gently put your hand on their shoulder and just say, Denise, I'm here to help you.
And you were talking about the tunnel vision, the peripheral vision?
Yeah. So when they can only see certain amount, that's why looking at them, they can see you. Here, they can't see. So everything needs to be in front of them in a range that they don't have to, because a lot of them can't move their necks because of arthritis. If they have Parkinson's with dementia, they have, they can have the dyskinesia that they're moving all around so they can't focus their eyes. So that's why I keep everything in an area that they can see and focus on. Okay. Carrie, how did you feel with it?
Scared. You know, when you were talking about that, so you got all these problems going on at the same time. So first of all, once they got past whatever the second task was, I was starting to like, oh wow, and I'm not, so I think I'm pretty smart, but boy, you're like, wow, this is simple stuff. And I thought I heard, I don't know if I heard it right. I thought it was tie the shoes. And so then the first thing is like, where are the shoes? Because where I was standing here, I was like, I don't see shoes in front of me. So then I'm going hunting for the shoes and I'm going, they're already tied. Did she tell me to tie them or untie them? So I'm already confused, right? And then when it came down to setting the table, which would be trouble for me on a good day anyway. So then I was like, once I was past that, it was something about I'm supposed to put 3 pieces of a puzzle together. To me, that was like virtually impossible because I'm like, I can't use my hands well to get into the puzzle box. Then when I'm hunting for puzzles, I'm like, I can't even see if this is the right piece to go next to it. So it's pretty tough. And it really, I think, the humbling experience.
Absolutely. Something I did want to say initially, after we gave you the task and we said, okay, you turned and said, do I go now? What am I supposed to do? Right. A lot of times your loved ones will look to you even after you've told them clear set of instructions. They'll come back to you. What am I supposed to do? What are we doing this now? Is this okay? And for a moment, you just kind of stood there and you did look around like you were surveying. So a lot of times caregivers will not give them time to process. And they'll say, come on, we got to go. I just told you, go find this. And it was untie the shoes. So you found the shoes and you picked them up and you fiddled with them and you put them back down. A lot of caregivers.
Did you guys feel pressure to do something even though you couldn't understand or didn't know what to do?
Yeah.
And it felt like that.
Always looking at me for questions. Well, I'm not going to tell you anything. We told you once. We're not going to do it. Right. So if we gave you one task at a time, would it have been easier?
Much.
Because you could focus, right? So think about with your loved ones with dementia. If you need them to get up in the morning and get ready, and this is great for the students, when you're working with your patients, you get them up and you try to get them ready for the day. So you come in and in your mind, it's like, okay, I got to get this person out of bed. I got to get them in the bathroom. I got to get them to wash their hands after they go to the bathroom, brush their teeth, wash their face, take a washcloth, wash them up, put them back in their room, get them dressed for the day. Hey, in your mind, you know what you need to do. If you told someone with dementia to do all that, what would they do? They just stand there like these people did, just stand there and not do anything. So, and then you get frustrated. Listen, I worked nursing homes for 20 some years. I know. You get frustrated. So instead of coming in and giving them the whole litany of what you need to do, good morning, we're going to get up and we're going to walk to the bathroom. When they're done in there, now we need to wash our hands. When they're done with that, now we're going to brush your teeth, wash your face, and then, and give them one task at a time so they feel like they've accomplished something. The worst. The worst thing you can do for someone with cognitive impairment is to make them feel like they failed. Okay? We don't like to feel like we fail when we do our jobs. So give them something that they can achieve and then tell them you did a great job. But you don't have to treat them like a child because that's all they can do. If you know someone can do a little bit more, then double up on something that's very similar. And that's the important thing, is to keep the dignity.
Absolutely. So I had a very difficult time hearing. And of course, as you know, I can't hear you. I can't hear you. And I don't know if this is what it's like with hearing aids or whatever, but like you said, all of the noise coming in through, I heard the speaker, I heard the news, I heard traffic, I heard horns. Every time I went to speak, something else came in louder, like a train and a plane, I think. So it made it very difficult to talk. And then because I couldn't hear you, yes, I definitely felt the pressure and having to do something, because I'm thinking, okay, I know I have to do something. but what is it? Something to do with the table. And I thought, all right, well, let me match this over, just this, because I'm looking around. I'm like, oh, well, they're doing tasks. So, what's my task? Let me just figure it out, just to keep myself busy. And then, of course, going back to you, you give me the next task about money. And I'm like, there's no money. Is it these? Dog food? So, yeah, it's very confusing for sure. I think this is very helpful. My father has dementia, and I can totally relate to, there's always TV or something on in the background. So now knowing firsthand that, yeah, we do have to think of the surrounding noises and, one step at a time, because coming from an Irish Italian family, we do throw things at people and a whole laundry list of stuff to do and do it now. And you're right. Yeah. Yeah, it was a great experience.
Can I just add, I just wanted to add one comment. When you were saying that, I was thinking like, when you're going through this experience, you're like, how much longer is this going to last, And so it's like real easy for us, right? Because we know at some point they're going to call time. But think about what it must be for the person going through that.
So the question, I don't know if everybody could hear, is an excellent question. And that also is part of the goal of this too, is if having gone through it, if you're caring for somebody with cognitive impairment, with dementia, what would you do differently? How would you use this to interact differently?
Okay, so for me, I would say the things that I realized was exactly what you were talking about. You have to make sure you have them engaged, that they're seeing what you're saying. And then also, I think I could have accomplished most of the task if I wasn't confused and I had plenty of time to sort it out. It wasn't that I felt like I can't do this, but I was confused as what I'm supposed to do. So I would think, to answer your question, trying to do the right thing with the person you're trying to help, you have to keep in mind how you felt going through this, because then you could probably, like, if one of you had been allowed to come in and say, no, listen, right now we're setting the table, then I would like, okay, I'll put everything down and I'll just stay on that.
Agreed. Ditto to everything, because it just gives you that self-awareness of what they could be going through. So it gives you that ability to pause and really think twice and give everything slower, like Barbara said, and make sure they can see you, all of the above, really.
And something I like to say too is every behavior or action that one of your loved one or an individual with dementia is doing, that's a form of communication, because they've lost the other appropriate form of communication. So if you have somebody who is in a bad mood or is using foul language, maybe they have pain somewhere and they don't know how to utilize those words. My hip hurts today. They may be expressing these behaviors differently. So you have to become kind of a detective to determine what could be an underlying cause of this behavior. So if you see somebody standing, looking at the table, or walking around wandering, maybe they are lost or thinking they're supposed to be doing, they've lost their purpose. Maybe they just can't find their room. Maybe they're trying to find the restroom. So it's really looking at the behaviors and trying to figure out perhaps why are they doing this.
Yeah. So the question was, how do you know it's time to take someone from a home environment into a community, either a memory care, an assisted living, or a nursing home? So you're pretty much, you're in denial. When your loved one has dementia or any disease, you're in denial for that. And that's when it's important to talk to other people, go to support groups, see how everybody else is doing things. But you pretty much know it's time, like when they start exiting the house. When it's the safety issues, when it's too hard for you to get them up and down out of bed, in the bathroom, when they're unable to toilet themselves, when they can't shower themselves. As some of you have said, you've been caregivers, you know what it's like being a caregiver. It is the hardest job in the world. If something would, God forbid, happen to you as a caregiver, who's going to take care of your loved one? So it's never too early to look at your options for other living communities to go to. If you wait too long, they're going to miss that assisted living. They're going to need too much. Your level of care is going to be too high, and if they need two or more people to help them.
And the daughter of a person, my father who had dementia, and my sister's 18 years, my senior, that had dementia. I would like to speak to that, and I thank you. So we get a lot of calls on our senior helpline from people that really kind of need to place their loved one in a senior care facility, but they don't want to because their view is, I don't want to dump my loved one in a nursing home. It doesn't have to be that way. When I was young, I swore as a nurse that I had all the skills that it took to take care of my father, and I would never drop him off at a nursing home. Well, then, lo and behold, it happened where he needed a nursing home, and I still needed to work. Didn't think about that. But you can get your loved one into a nursing home and then visit every day or every other day. When my father first went into the nursing home, I was the caregiver. I bathed him, I took home his laundry, I did this and that. Then I realized the facility could take care of certain things that I could in place of me. And then I could visit him as just his daughter. And that's what I did. So if any of you are facing having to put a loved one in a skilled nursing facility, it's not injustice. I know that fathers and mothers say, please don't put me in a nursing home. If you put them in a nursing home, you can still be as involved as you want to. So visit them every day. My father was at Life Care Center of Palm Bay for 10 years. He never had a bed sore. He was always clean shaven. He became incontinent. He never smelled like urine because I visited every day. So keep that in mind. If you drop someone off at a skilled nursing facility and you leave them and you don't visit them, that's a different story than if you visit them and pay attention to them. And sometimes it's the best option because instead of you being the daughter that's the caregiver, you can just be the daughter or the son. So I just wanted to make that clear. There are positives and negatives to every skilled nursing facility, but scientific, it's proven that people in nursing homes that get more visitors get better care. So if you have to put your loved one in a skilled nursing facility, don't consider it, I'm dropping them off. Boom. You still have an obligation to visit them and take care of them and take an active part. And then your loved one can get awesome care. My father survived 10 years in Life Care Center of Palm Bay. Never had, like I said, never had a wound, always clean shaven, never smelled like urine. But that's up to you guys.
Thank you. And then, of course, you do have your local resources. So you have Denise here with Senior Care Authority, me with Assisted Living Locators. You have many others. We're all here in the community, sponsors of, helping seniors of Brevard to help you. It's never too early to look to see what the options are. The scariest part is waiting till the need arises and, oh my gosh, we need to get them in a place yesterday. Now what are our options? So at that point, the care needs are a little bit more. Options may be limited because space may not be there. It's better to get involved and look early so that the people you're caring for can also be involved and say, you know what, I like this place. This one feels a little bit more like home. This one's large. It's great because I like to be social. Or, oh my gosh, it's too large. It's scary. You know, I want something a little bit smaller. This is where it's good to reach out to everyone, you know, helping seniors at Brevard, everyone to say, hey, you got us in the right direction. What are the options? Better early than too late. Denise, you have
And look local, because you need somebody who's boots on the ground who knows.
Yeah, so, any questions that anybody has? I know there's some of you that want to go through this, so we want to have time, you know, we want to do this with you. If you want to do it, please stay and the team will run you through it. Any questions from anyone?
It's not a question, but I just am so moved by all of you who are so caring, so giving. I appreciate what you're doing more than I could tell you. When my mom needed to go to a facility, we were not prepared. It's just my brother and I. My brother lives in New York where my mother is, so she's far away from me. And I couldn't be there to help. I felt very helpless. So I flew up there and I did my best and I reached out to people like you. And thank goodness they were there. Thank goodness you are there. I tell you how important you are to our community. There are many, many people who need your help, need your services, and they don't know that you exist. I don't know what could be done to increase awareness, increase outreach. But I would love to help you if I could volunteer to help any of you. You are just a gift to our community. Thank you for all you do.
Yeah, so if you are not able to do it today, we are running Dementia Live elsewhere out in the community at different locations. So we can get your contact information and send you that information if you want to come to a later, different time. And I just wanted to say thank you for our participants for going through this so that we could share what this is. So thank you. Thank you so much.
Ken Cornish up here, Chaplain Ken Cornish up here to close out our program.
Well, it's just such an honor to be here among all of these wonderful people. It's clear to me that God's work is being done here. So whatever your religious, whatever your spiritual background is, spiritual health is an often neglected part of our lives. And it is so important that we incorporate that into our lives. So I want to thank each and every person who made their time available to be here to help the people of this community. It's such a wonderful thing. So let's go to the Lord, please. Thank you, Lord, for all that you provide in our lives. And I want to thank you particularly today for all of these people that showed up here to provide their time and their service for your people. We ask that you bless each of them, bless the ministry of this resource center and of helping seniors and all of the other people that do their service. We ask that you give them blessing and pour that out on them. And we ask that you help people to find comfort in whatever spiritual realm they use to reach out and get lifted up and find comfort. So we ask all of this in the name of our Lord. Amen.